So I finally bit to the bullet and bought some second-hand minis off of eBay. I've always known that there's a market out there for pre-painted, pre-owned, pre-loved minis. I've just never managed to find a good deal, and I don't ever know if it's worth it to do it. But that's all going to change today. So in this box is a squad of minis that I've been dying to get hold of for ages, and I finally found a good deal for them on eBay. So today we're going to crack this open, take a look inside, strip the minis, and see is it worth it to buy some pre-owned minis off eBay. And here it is, our little package all the way from eBay with some secret minis inside. And yeah, I'm buzzing for these. There's some models that I've been eyeing up for a long time, and I've also got a real specific colour scheme, like painting idea for them. So when I saw them like on the eBay auction, I was like, right, that's it, instant buy. I'm not even thinking about it. Oh, okay, good packaging so far, lots of little bits. I always think about like keeping stuff like this for basic materials, but I don't know if packaging foam is worth it. But I say that, I'll keep it anyway and I'll have a look into it. But let's just pull these out of the way and make a huge mess of my desk. Let's see how these boys are doing. I've never ordered actually fully built minis before, and I've never posted any, so I'm always anxious to know how they travel. Like everything I've bought has always been on sprue, so to see how like fully built minis are packaged and sent and how they arrive is it's anxious. But let's have a look. Oh, you can kind of see, look at that. Oh, can you make it out? Some wheels, because we have brought ourselves a set of 3 Chaos Bikers. Look at those boys. But yeah, so far looking all right. They're all intact. Let's crack his bag open though and have a look at them, see if they've survived the journey. I will say one of these boys, it was listed, is missing a backpack. So we pull them out. Yeah, there we go. This is the dude here. Just is missing a backpack. But I've got quite a few lying around, like spare. I think I've got one from the Red Corsair Raiders, which is perfect because that's what these boys are going to be. Going to be Red Corsairs. Man, these are weighty models as well. Oh, these look so cool. Oh, they're even better than I thought. So yeah, the plan with these boys is, I mean, they're not even going to be like too different from what they are because they've been painted in what looks like word bearers, like the red and silver. It looks really, really cool. But my plan is to strip them and repaint them as Red Corsairs. And I mentioned briefly, I've got a really cool scheme and idea in mind. We'll get into it in detail when it comes to painting, but just to touch on it, I've got 2 red recipes that I've been using. One of them is just normal like Khorne Reds, Evil Sunz, like matte base colours. And then also I've got this metallic recipe I like where I put contrast paint, red contrast on top of metallic undercoats. So what I want to do with this and these bikers is paint the bikes in this red metallic vibe. So it's like shiny red metallic bikes. But then the dude on top can be the sort of Khorne Red, Evil Sunz, normal matte layer paint. So I guess the first thing we need to do is strip these 3 boys and then we can start gushing over how cool they look while we put on some nice paints. So I'm just preparing the isopropanol alcohol just for the models to be dunked in and stripped, and I have realised something. I was doing a little bit of research because these boys are on a square base. I've not seen that before, and it turns out, yeah, that's an older base. What I need to do is actually update these boys onto a big oval version. So I might actually have to strip them off this base and rebase them, which is a little bit more effort than I thought it was going to be. But that's okay, it's something we can factor in. So yeah, while it's a bit more effort and a bit annoying having to do this, I do quite like the idea of getting to like start fresh on a base. I've just ordered some online. If you've not done it before, there's like loads of places on eBay. You can just order bases that people have either like saved from older models they've not used or 3D printed themselves. So I've just done that. So most of this video, they won't be on a base. They'll probably be glued to some kind of painting handle, and then we'll base them up at the end when the new oval bases arrive in a few days. So yeah, let's just strip these boys and then dunk them in the isopropanol and get them looking all fresh and clean. And here they are, all 3 of our Chaos Bikers, all stripped clean and re-primed with some Raven Black from Colourforge. And yeah, that wasn't too bad, you know. Nice clean, crisp strip. There's still a couple little bumps and lumps in here somewhere, but I think once we apply the paint or whatnot, that'll be looking okay. Like, I will say, I've stripped a lot of my own models before, and I feel like if you've stripped your own recently painted models, you might like kind of get an idea of how long it takes and how much effort it is and realise it's not too bad. But what I will say is these boys were not that. These boys took a lot longer than my normal, like recently painted minis take. So maybe, yeah, the longer the paint's been on them, maybe the harder it is to strip. So that's maybe something to consider if you buy minis off eBay. They might not be as easy to strip as the minis you've like recently painted. But overall, like time-wise and effort, it wasn't too bad. I want to say it was probably about 2 hours or so of overall like scrubbing and stripping and like trying to rip stuff off, and it was quite fun, you know. It was quite cool to like getting in them nooks and crannies with a toothbrush and really try and strip it away and clean it and tidy it up. It was like a fun little project. It was quite cool. But what I will say is, so obviously, if you buy them off eBay, one thing you don't have to do is build them yourself. And I was thinking while I was like stripping all these models, I was like, this is kind of like the building process, you know, like it'd be the same sort of time and effort. So I think for the overall project time and how long it takes to sort of do a model, I think it's pretty similar if you buy something off eBay and strip it yourself, or if you build it fresh on your own. It's kind of like a similar amount of time for the stripping and the building, so quite comparable. So the next step to fixing some second-hand eBay minis is obviously we need to paint them up ourselves. Actually, we stripped off all the old paint, but now we need to apply our own. So what we're doing is just our sort of normal Red Corsair recipe. Like I mentioned at the start, painting these boys up in Red Corsairs, and what we're going to do is 2 separate approaches for the biker and the bike itself. They're both going to be the same colour scheme. They're both going to be red and black. But what we're going to do is we're going to use a lot of metallic paints for the bike to make it all shiny and metallic. And then we're going to use some matte base paints for the body. So what we're doing for the body first, because we have to sponge it on, it gets quite messy, is we're just sponging on some reds. So we're going to do layers of Khorne Red with the sponge, and then we're going to build up some layers of Evil Sunz Scarlett over the top. That way we get some nice smooth transitions, some nice like highlights and gradients. And then after that, what we do is we put like a thinned down layer of Flesh Terror's Red over the top of all of it, just so it softens some of the transitions, and then also kind of takes those dark recesses that we've got. Like if you notice when you sponge on like down here, for example, we just kind of put a bit more on. Yeah, there's some like dark recesses where the sponge can't get to. So basically the Flesh Terror's thinned down kind of tints that a little bit red and then softens the transitions. Right, that is all of the red done on the armor panels, and also we did some of the black on the armor panels as well. Like I know we primed them in black, but you can kind of see the difference between Abbadon Black and then the matte, what is it, matte black Raven from Colourforge. The Abbadon Black's a bit darker. This is actually kind of a bit greyish, and also it's just nice so that when I eventually mess up with the trim and whatnot, when it comes to fixing it back up, we can just use Abbadon Black to tidy it. As for the next part of the recipe, we're just going to tart up this bike and make it all metallic and shiny. So the plan is, or the approach we're going to take, is put down some metallic base paints. So as you're seeing right now, we're doing Brass Scorpion. And then after this, we're going to apply a layer of Flesh Terror's Red over the top. And what that gives us is a lovely, nice, metallic red shine. So that's what we're going to do for the bike. And this is the one thing I was actually most excited for, and the main reason why I wanted to buy the bikers. Just because I love the idea of he's riding this big, shiny, metallic bike. Like the framing of the bike is all red and shiny and metallic. But the model himself is like a nice red matte finish. So you have that cool contrast of like a shiny, industrial, like a metallic bike. And then the cool, dark, heavy reds of the dude on top. So yeah, I'm keen to see what that looks like. It'll be really, really nice. I guess now, while I'm emptying an entire pot of Ironbreaker onto this model, just because there's so much trim and silver sections, might be a good time to answer the question that's on everybody's lips, and that is, how much did I actually pay for these Chaos Bikers? Because I guess that's probably the most defining factor about, do you want to buy some secondhand minis? You know, they're supposed to be cheaper. Obviously it varies from like model to model and listing to listing. Some things will have better resale value, some things will be like more expensive. But these guys specifically, so on the Games Workshop website, if you want to buy them brand spanking new, they're about £30. And then I've looked around on some various discount retailers and they go for about £24 to £26, depending on like where you're looking and availability. So that's the retail value, and I paid, drumroll please, 19 English pounds. So yeah, only not a massive saving, knocking maybe, I guess if you go for retail, knocking like £10, £11 off, maybe 6 or 7 depending on like a discount retailer. So just a little bit cheaper, but every little counts because Warhammer is an expensive hobby. Like, I mean, controversial opinion, I think Warhammer is actually like a really good value for money. The amount of time you get building and painting the minis and playing with them and whatnot, I do think Warhammer's good value for money, but that's a whole other video and conversation. It is without a doubt a very expensive hobby, so saving money is definitely a perk of buying secondhand minis, and yeah, saved a couple quid on these boys. And so far there haven't been too much extra work than if I just bought them like brand new. Obviously, there was a little bit of work stripping them, you know, getting all the paint off of them, but that was actually quite fun, you know. I quite enjoyed like the whole concept of like taking them and making them really like pristine and clean, like scrubbing off every little detail, getting them looking as good as new. It was like looking into a different side of the hobby. It was quite fun. Like, I know eBay restorations and fixing up older models is like a aspect of the hobby that people enjoy. I've seen people doing videos of it and it gets quite good views. So it's definitely like a market for like restoring old minis. So I can see here. So that aspect was quite fun, to be fair. So yeah, I wouldn't say this was a massive deal. Like, I didn't get them half price or like under that. It was only like a tenner off maybe, which is pretty decent. I guess also just to touch base on what we're doing now. I was going to say what we're doing, but we might be done. We're just painting all of the trim, both for the bike and the dude riding it, in silver. I'm using Ironbreaker just because I'm a bit bored of Leadbelcher, and I thought I'd try something different. There's no like greater plan. There's no like nothing to do with the hues or the colours or the vibrancy. I am quite literally just really bored of Leadbelcher, so I thought I'd try something different. But it won't matter too much because what we do with this is put on a silver metallic paint on all of the trim, and then we cover it up with some black Templar contrast just to make that nice dark metallic look. So that's what we're going to do now, just finish up the last of this trim, although I think that's almost everything. Around all the bike. Oh, it looks so good, doesn't it? I love the way the trim, like, trim is a nightmare to paint, but I love how it like frames the whole mint model, all of the colours and how much it adds to it. It's really cool. I do love it. But I think that might be everything, you know? Yeah, obviously there's loads more silver that needs to go on them, but in terms of the trim, I think that's almost everything. So let me go grab, well, maybe do a second coat and tidy up some tiny bits, but then I'll go grab the Black Templar and we can start really bringing this mini together. Right, there's all of the Black Templar along the trim just to darken it down, and then we've also slapped on a whole bunch of edge highlights just to give it some structure. So we've done a lighter bronze than what we put down under the red just on the bike, like Sycorax just down here on the front there. Oh, on the front there you can really see it. Yeah, look at that nice little like shiny edges. And then also some silver just around all of the black trim just to give it a bit more definition, like you can see just here. Kind of makes it like sparkle and shine, but still gives it that heavy, nice metallic look. Very, very happy. And then, yeah, slapped some black on the panels just to give it some shape, and just I'm so happy with it overall. Like, it's so good so far. Like, it's got that image I had in my mind, like especially just there of that like shiny metallic bike with that grim dark heavy matte rider. It's looking so cool. I mean, yeah, that's 1 second. But yeah, that image there, or especially on the legs, like got like the red matte, but then like the shiny bike. Oh yeah, it looks so good. And it's only going to look better once we fill in the details, because there's a lot of details left to do. Oh, a lot of it is silver. Oh my God. So where's that? You know, I might use a Leadbelcher for the bike actually. Yeah, come crawling back to Leadbelcher for the bike, because I think that's what we'll do next. Fill in some of the bike details all in here. This is supposed to be silver down there along the casing of the wheels. Like, there's a lot of it in there. And we can also fill in the wheels, probably just black with some grey dry brushing. So I'm just highlighting this skull on the front, and it kind of got me thinking a little bit how I didn't realise how much I enjoy the customization of the build process. Like, I'm looking at some of these boys and I'm like, oh, there's some things I'd like to change, and some things I'd like to do differently that obviously I can't do because they're pre-built. Like, the big one is this skull on the front. If I had bought the pack fresh, I think what I would have liked to have done is strip this off, like got a knife, like cut away and like sand it down and make it all plain, and then put like a Red Corsair symbol there, like a big hand or like a transfer or something. I say that, I don't actually know what comes in this kit and what are the customizable options, but I feel like I'm definitely getting to that point with the hobby. Like, I've been in it for a year or so now, where I'm like quite comfortable with kit bashing and like hacking away at minis and sort of chopping and changing them. Like, I probably could have done it with this. I probably could have got a knife in there. Like, I don't know, let's have a look. Yeah, maybe I could have got like a knife, like a different blade head. I've got a few. Maybe I could have like hacked away at it. But yeah, I think I'm like going around this mini, and there's a few things like this gold star down here I'm not a massive fan of. Again, I probably, actually, I definitely could have cut that off, yeah. Look at that. I mean, the point I'm trying to get at is I think I underestimated how much I enjoy the building process and the customization. So maybe if that's something you do really enjoy, that's probably something to factor in. Like, I think I would still buy secondhand minis that are pre-built, but I think given how much I enjoy customizing them, they'd either have to be a mini that I already like as it is, without any like customizing or chopping and changing, or maybe it just have to be like a really good price point. Like, it's so cheap, it's almost like criminal to say no to. But then again, on the flip side, perhaps that could be used to my advantage. Like, maybe I might try actually. I do quite like the idea of getting cheap minis off eBay, not even to have for the like to paint and build, but just for kit bashing. Like, buying another set of bikers just to rip them apart and use bits and bobs for other stuff. So yeah, maybe that is an avenue to be explored. Like, if you find some cheap minis just for kit bashing. Right, I think he's pretty much done, to be fair. I'm kind of spoiling the end result, but it's got some nice colour on him with those screens, some heavy reds, some metallic reds. It's looking really nice. I might slap some transfers on the back here or somewhere else, not really sure yet. I'll have a little play around with them and look, because guess what's arrived? The bases, yeah. Obviously they didn't arrive with texture paint on them. I've just put that on. But yeah, these are the 3 bases we had to order because the old ones weren't right. And yeah, that does fit much better. Like, yeah, look at that. It's a much nicer space, a lot more room to customize and add some bits and bobs to him. And that's what I've done. I've just quickly put on some, what's this called? Armageddon Dust. Not for the color, just to add some texture to it so it's not flat. Because, like, I mean, it's not going to come up on camera. But, like, yeah, if you try and just paint this, it's really boring. Whereas with the texture paint, it adds some, like, texture and bumps and lumps to it and makes it feel more alive. So we're just going to quickly slap some paint on the base so it fits into that grey, ashen, barren wasteland vibe that we do. And for the basing, what I'd like to start off with is just some contrast Basilicon and grey. We'll just honestly just lather it all on just to get some colour on it and cover up that baby vomit, like yellow, brown, horrible Armageddon dust. And then once this is all dried, we'll dry brush a whole bunch of greys over the top of all that texture. So we do like Dawnstone, and Administratum grey, I think. Sometimes I put Eshin in there, I'm not sure. We'll see how I feel. But yeah, I'm just going to grey this all up. Dry brush some other lighter greys on top. Maybe a separate transfer or 2 on. And then we can have a look at the final result. And here they are, our eBay rescued Chaos Space Marine bikers. And these guys look so cool, man. I love the mini sculpt itself, like this big spiky bike with this edgy Chaos Space Marine on top. It's such a cool image. And yeah, I'm really happy with the red, like that metallic bike we went for, and the matte dude on the top. It's just quite a nice little like visual. It's really, really cool. What I'll try and do is try and dig out some old pictures or clips of what they used to look like when we just bought them. I can put them here. But yeah, I do think we've made a nice improvement on how they looked. They're a little bit more coherent, a little bit tidier. And yeah, they just look really, really cool. They match the theme of the army as well, that sort of Red Corsair vibes. And I think we've done a pretty good job of stripping them, tidying them up, and repainting them in more of a modern scheme to fit my army. So yeah, really, really happy with how they look. I say that, there is like a minor thing. Something about them doesn't seem clean. A bit, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It feels like there's a bit of a texture on the bikes, like the minis. They don't feel smooth and like they're kind of like clean. I don't know if that's because of the way we stripped the mini or because it's so old, it's had loads of paint on them. I guess if I try and zoom in, you might be able to make it, it's hard to make out on camera, you might be able to make it out there on this little bike, just there. And then like, I noticed it on the front of one of the bikes, yeah, the metallic, the Leadbelcher section just here. It's not like smooth. It kind of feels a bit like bumpy and a bit like worn. But like, I'm not really sure, like, because I'm looking at the pictures of the before pictures, it kind of looks like that's what they were like anyway. So I don't know if it's maybe like an old mini or because the way the previous person kind of painted it or did something to it. There's like a weird, you can see there on the front as well. It's kind of like a weird, not so smooth effect. I feel like it's kind of affected the paint in a way. So something, it just doesn't feel as smooth and clean. So maybe that's something to consider when you're like looking at old minis on eBay or trying to buy secondhand. Just maybe consider that. But I mean, it's only a really minor thing. Like, it's only also when you get really close. Like the fact I had to put the super zoom on, because if we go back to normal level, yeah, like look at that. Like from far away, it's almost unnoticeable. It's just when I was painting it, I noticed. I was like, oh, this doesn't feel smooth. But no, other than that, I absolutely love the dudes. They're so cool. There we go. Some Chaos Bikers rescued from eBay, and that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But some parts were more effort than I thought they were, if that makes sense. So I didn't expect the stripping the paint to be so much work. I didn't realise that, I don't know if it was like how long the paint had been on there or the type of paint or maybe like an oil wash, but it took a lot of scrubbing. I was getting like the knife out and like kind of scraping off little sections at some points. Because when I strip like some models that I've painted recently, like some of these like Space Wolves I painted like 9 months ago, I stripped them a couple days back and fell off. It was easy. It was just, yeah, like a little bit of scrubbing and done. But those boys was like 2 or 3 soaks, proper scrubbing. Yeah, it was really, really awkward. But after that, it was fine. It was just a prime and a repaint. Some sections weren't as smooth or as clean. But yeah, I think it's definitely something I'll do in the future, is look out for deals more often. I will say I did miss the ability to sub-assemble. I really like sub-assembling when it comes to painting. The fact I couldn't do it at all was a bit like, ugh. But I think if you're not too bothered about like the customization or the building, it's definitely like something you should consider, because you can get some cheap models. Like they were like £10 off. They weren't too bad, and I've seen and heard of some really good deals. But in terms of the effort to like buy something and then paint it up as yourself, I don't think it was too bad. It was all right. Overall, it's not too much effort, you know. So it's definitely something I'll do in the future. It was quite fun. But as always, thanks for watching, and drop a like and subscribe, and tune in next time. Bye!